And good evening. We welcome you to the inaugural edition of the North Florida Gridiron Report. Marty Paulman, Corey Davis will be joining you every Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. An hour of high school football news, an hour of college football news, and we'll have that for you throughout the football season as you join us here on Facebook and Twitter. The North Florida Gridiron Report. Corey, first of all, you may know Corey from I just call him the most experienced prep writer in Northeast Florida, probably. And Corey now currently works for the Palatka Daily News. How many years has it been now, Corey?
Yeah, you're 33 now.
33. Yeah, and
I updated my Twitter account the other day.
You're 32 to 33, right? And I'm Marty Paulman. I work currently for Main Street Daily News in Gainesville, also Bishop Kenny in Jacksonville. On 1010 XL, do Florida Gator soccer and softball, pretty much a little bit of everything in between Northeast and North Central Florida. So we think we're pretty qualified to talk about high school football and college football, really, here in North Florida, especially on the high school level. And, well, we join you tonight on this Wednesday night because the season really is going to get underway tomorrow night. It got underway last week for a lot of teams. Corey was at a game in Interlochen and Christchurch.
You were sort of.
I was at Oak Hall. That game never happened. They were supposed to play Bell. Those are the SSAA games. And the game in Gainesville, Oak Hall, and Bell, it never happened. It's lightning and rain. It was just, it was.
And we're getting ready to get that.
Yeah. But we will talk about games this week as well as we head into the opening week of the FHSAA season. We are joining you tonight from Beef O'Brady's at Stark, literally looking at Bradford High School across the street as they will open. Boo, really? Oh boy, I already.
No, I like Bradford and Jamie
Rogers. But Coach Jamie Rogers and his team, they're going to get underway on Friday night over there against Baker County. It's always the big game. So that's one game.
The Blood War.
Yeah, they do. That is always a big one to look forward to. But we're going to bring you basically high school football all the way to the state championships. And we'll probably at times maybe talk a little volleyball when that's going on right now. In fact, volleyball has been underway this week. School really began, I guess, last week for most of the area. And immediately we had a lot of the kickoff classics last week too, which we'll get into. In fact, why don't we go ahead and do that? Let's go ahead and take a look back at last week's the SSAA openers. First of all, as we mentioned, your game, first of all, Interlochen and Christchurch played, got delayed, then they played, and then, but I guess about late in the third quarter, it was delayed for good until, well, we don't know when yet.
It was 3 minutes left in the third quarter. They went to another lightning delay. They said they were going to resume at 10:30, but at 10:27, I got a text from Coach Eric Gibson saying, yeah, we're not going to finish the game tonight. We're going to postpone it to another date. And rumor has it September 15th, or it could be October 20th, I believe. But we'll see. I mean, you went to an interesting game Friday night.
No, there was no game.
Well, they never played.
They never played. No, I mean, and that was the thing. I'm texting Corey. Sorry, Mike Radout is talking to me here. And by the way, we'll talk to Mike throughout the season as well at some point. He's back on his Prep Zone show tonight in Gainesville. But well, I showed up there about 20 to 7. There's a 7 o'clock kick, and literally got out of the car, walked about 10 feet. And if you've ever been to Oak Hall, the parking lot is in the front. The field is in the very back of the school. I walked about 10 feet, and then I noticed Bell fans everywhere in the parking lot. I'm like, that's weird. Why are they out here? And I'm thinking, oh, there's got to be a delay because all the fans were standing around outside the stadium. And sure enough, AD Edwin Victorious, head coach at Oak Hall, RJ Fuhr, and head coach at Bell, Joey Whittington, were all talking. And there was a lightning delay. Now, Noah Ram of the Gainesville Sun and I were both there. And we talked to the coaches for a while, and Coach Victorious said, "Yeah, I think was one move through, we're going to be okay." And a little bit, there's one that I think is going to miss us. So that storm didn't miss us. About 20 minutes later, it let loose. And the funny thing was, they had literally brought O'Call on the field to warm up. And about 2 minutes later, they took him right back into the locker room because they had a lightning strike. And about 7:15, 7:30, it just started pouring and lightning. So they finally, after about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, that they called it. And apparently not going to make it up. So that game will not be made up from what I've heard.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's the status of that?
Well, no, Coach Fuhr said on Twitter Friday night that the game will not be made up. So he said it the other day. And as far as I know, they're not. I've looked at the schedules on Max Preps. They don't have each other listed. So that means O'Call's opener will actually be Bronson tomorrow night. They actually have a Thursday game at home this week. And Bell will be playing Trenton on Friday.
Sorry, that game's going to be a dominant.
Bell and Trenton?
No.
O'Call and Bronson? Yeah, I think O'Call probably wins that. We'll get to that later. But Bronson looks like they're in for a struggle this season as well. So, but that's kind of what happened in Gainesville last week. There were a couple other kickoff classics.
Speaking of Bronson, they actually played a real game for last Friday
They
night.
did play a real game, and it didn't go very well.
They traveled to Jacksonville, and Old Plank Christian, which used to be a 6-man team, dumped them pretty bad, 40-0.
Yeah, Old Plank, and that's why I say Bronson's going to. It's going to be tough to see. They're going to have a tough season, I think, and it's been kind of been that way the last few years in Bronson as well. But yeah, tough start for them, as you mentioned. Meanwhile, there are a couple other games. We mentioned Bell and O'Call. Your game, Interlochen and Christchurch, delayed in the third quarter. Meanwhile, you had West Nassau and Paxton, and a big win for the Warriors to start the season.
What a crazy opening week, because this game last year literally came down to a goal line stand.
Right.
And this year, complete opposite.
Right. Yeah.
West Nassau, which is a real deal, kills Paxton 55-14.
Yeah, West Nassau was and last year maybe a little bit of a down year. They were pretty good, but Fernandina Beach knocked them out last year, as you said. So speaking of that, we'll talk about Fernandina in a moment because they opened their season. But West Nassau, it's kind of funny having them in SSAA because they really were a good team in FHSAA for years. They were a perennial postseason team. So I was a little surprised. And by the way, we found out, we were talking about this last week, West Nassau is playing their games in Hilliard, home games, right? Because the stadium is being
because they're getting field turf at the stadium.
Field turf for West Nassau, right? So they are. So they're playing their games at Hilliard. This game was at Hilliard, or was
This game was at Hilliard.
Yeah. So they'll be playing all their home games there. So that's a Nassau County thing. Obviously, they're West Nassau, and Paxton. West Nassau wins that game 55-14. Meanwhile, in Stanton, there's another SSAA game. Umatilla all over Stanton, 53-6 for Umatilla. Umatilla had a pretty good year last year as well.
Yeah, I saw them play last year against Interlochen. That game was 55-48. Umatilla's got a ton of athletes.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and that's true. They do have a lot of athletes, and then that's another school that kind of struggled at the FHSA level, but since they've gone to SSAA, they really played well. And we've seen the same thing kind of with Bell. I mean, Bell was 9-4 last year. Bell, I don't think it had a winning season in 20 years before that. And another team that's kind of got better at the SSAA level as well.
Bell was 9-3 last year.
Yeah.
Made it to the
final of the Atlantic.
The consolation championship game.
Yeah, which against Space Coast, who apparently put up a banner or something. They won a state title, right?
It's a consolation championship.
I guess you could say the same thing to who's the team?
State champion was Frostproof.
Right.
Frostproof beat Bernardina in the championship game.
Who's the team that beat Dixie County last year in the as we call it, the NIT championship?
Was it Fort Meade?
That's Fort Meade. They probably claim a state title. I mean, technically they got a
Oh, I'm sure they do.
It was called the FIT, which unfortunately sounds a lot like NIT, and that's exactly what you think of.
Everybody kept calling it.
I know.
NIT.
So, and I'll be back this year. They're going to have that again with the championship game once again at the Villages. And meanwhile, The rural state championship game will be at the Villages again. Speaking of that, and we'll get to that in a moment, the defending rural state champs, the Madison County Cowboys and the Hawthorne Hornets both get going this week. Hawthorne, who only has 7 games, does have a home game this week against Discovery, a team that I don't know a lot about out of Orlando area, Lake Alfred officially. That's one of only 3 home games they have scheduled right now this season. It's been hard.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they struggle every year with getting. They never play 10 games.
No,
always 8 or 9.
It's kind of funny because that's exactly what their basketball team's like. Their basketball team plays like 12 or 13 regular season games because football usually goes so long. But yeah, that'll be. We'll see if that affects them. It hasn't affected them in the past. I mean, you're right. Last year they went 10-2 and made the state championship game. They only had 8 regular season games. So, but that's something we'll get into in our next segment. But back to some of the SSAA games last week. It was we mentioned Umatilla, Fernandina Beach. They win against Mount Dora Christian 19-13. So close one there.
On the road too, which is even more impressive.
Yeah, it was as you said, on the road. And
of the 21 teams in the league, 20 played last week. The only team that did not play in the Atlantic League was Franklin County, one of the 2 teams.
Because of weather, is that right?
No, they just didn't have a game.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. They didn't have a game. So 20 of the 21 did play. All right. Well, Fernandina gets a win 19-13 over Mount Dora Christian to open their season as well. Meanwhile, lots of kickoff classics to talk about.
Everybody's talking about Santa Fe. But everybody's talking about Santa Fe.
Well, I mean, if you've had a time as Santa Fe has had recently, yeah, you probably want to see anything can get you hopeful. And they beat GHS. They beat them up last week in that game, 28-14. I think it was 21-0 at one point. Noah, the Gainesville Sun, was singing their praises the next night. And Ernest Graham is going to turn them around. I mean, they can't. I mean, that's a team that's won, I think, 1 game in 3 years. I mean, that can't continue. Santa Fe's had a pretty proud history, too.
And if I'm not mistaken, that 1 win was against GHS.
It was. Actually,
no, last year was Keystone. The year before, it was GHS.
Right. They won 1 game each of the last 2 years. And then the year before that, 2 years ago, GHS won 1 game. That was against Santa Fe. And then Santa Fe beat them the year before that. And that was their only win. So, yeah, you're right. It kind of shuttled back and forth. But Gainesville's I think they're going to struggle a little bit. They lost their quarterback. Nelson Tamling's gone to Eastside, and he's in a quarterback battle there with their incumbent quarterback from last season. But and speaking of which, that's another game that didn't happen. Eastside Newberry was canceled. They started the game. I think they played about half the first quarter at Citizens Field, and then the game was postponed. So obviously that won't be made up. That's too bad because that's a really good matchup. So now Newberry will hit the road to University Christian to start the season in Jacksonville on Friday night, and Eastside will host Bellevue on Friday at Citizens Field. Meanwhile, tomorrow night at Citizens Field, Buchholz and Vanguard will get at it. So the Bobcats, who they beat Spruce Creek last week 21-6, nice win in the kickoff classic for them. They will be at home tomorrow night, weather permitting, because we know how that goes early in the year, against Vanguard, which is always a good matchup for Buchholz and Vanguard. In fact, that's a game that came down to a field goal in the last play a couple years ago. So that is looking back at last week's kickoff classics. Buchholz getting the win over Spruce Creek. Santa Fe beating Gainesville High, and I think of some of the other games in the area.
Well, the one that surprised me, and I put it on our list, was Bowles put a running clock on Creekside.
I think Bowles is going to be really good, though, this year. And their schedule is tough, really tough. In fact, I think they're opening this week down in Broward County. They're playing in that Broward County showcase.
Tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night.
Yeah, and they're
against Monarch.
Yeah, so they're going down to South Florida to open their season. But yeah, that is a good win because Creekside, we know how good Creekside's been. Bowles rolls past them last week. Also, we talked about.
And it doesn't get any easier because I believe Creekside plays Mandarin this week.
They do. They open with Mandarin, and Mandarin is coming in off 2 years ago, played for the state title. Last year, they got knocked off in the opening round by Oakleaf in the playoffs in 6A. So yeah, it was a tough region there, but they will, as you said, Mandarin Creekside will go at it this week. But going back to last week in the kickoff classic a little bit, we mentioned Bowles over Creekside. Another big game. Hawthorne went to Baker County and won and beat the Wildcats up there. Got a chance to see the old Trenton Union County coach Andrew Thomas, who's now the defensive coordinator at Baker County. It's been quite a year for him this year.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which, Union County
Went all the way to Port St. Joe,
I think for a tie.
and I don't think they even played a quarter.
Yeah, it was 7-7, but I think you're right. I think weather got to that as well. And you're right. That was quite a trip for that game. I think it's the first time Union County had gone there. So they all open with Yulee this week. That's their first game at home with the new coach, Lamar Waters, the interim head coach there.
And Julie was impressive. They beat Inglewood like 40-0. Right.
Well, is that because of Yulee or is that because of Inglewood? I mean, I kind of wonder about that sometimes.
Probably a combination of both.
Right. But anyway, Mother Nature did have a lot to say, as our friend from Joshua Wilson would say. Mother Nature had its say in a lot of games on Friday night, and this is what we have to deal with this early in the year. I mean, we have thunderstorms.
What does the always say? Mother Nature 21?
14, high school football, nothing. Yeah. That's our old friend Josh. But that's usually what he says. But Mother Nature did have at least come into play a lot last Friday night in those games and Thursday. So hopefully weather will permit this week, starting tomorrow night. And Corey, you're going to be at Keystone, right?
On Friday night, yeah. Big rivalry game. Interlochen and Keystone are separated by 17 miles. And this is the 46th meeting. And Keystone leads 36-19, and they've won 22 of the last 26.
Yeah.
So they've dominated the rivalry. But Keystone lost a ton of players to transfers, or they decided to play other sports. So Interlochen has a chance.
Yeah, Interlochen, right. If they're going to get Keystone, this is probably the year to do it. And I know you said Interlochen, very good defensively, it looks like. They have a hard time scoring, which is a little different from last year's Interlochen team.
Well, last year's team averaged 40-something points a game.
Right, they could score.
They just couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
Supposedly, Coach Gibson said, well, our defense is a lot better this year. Now we just got to work on the offense. Because they struggled to move the ball last week against Christchurch.
Yeah, as you said, it was 7-6 late in the third. So anyway, we'll see how Interlochen fares going to Keystone. I'll be talk about that a little bit later as well. We're going to have tonight in our show a preview is coming up for Gainesville, Ocala, as well as Jacksonville. And that's the thing. This show will cover North Central and Northeast Florida. So we'll talk Jacksonville, we'll talk St. Johns County and Clay County up to Nassau and then over to Gainesville. And we'll get into Ocala too some. So, and that's another team. Vanguard, we mentioned Vanguard's playing Buchholz tomorrow night at Citizens Field. Their game, they were supposed to play Miami Central last week in the kickoff class. So that would have been a huge game. But that game never happened. They played, I think they started the first quarter as well. And then it was lightning and rain came in and they called it off. Speaking of Miami Central, they were supposed to play Reigns this week, right? In the opener?
Next week. Well, yeah, this coming Saturday.
Saturday, right, in the opener. But that got called off.
Because allegedly the AD for Duval County, Tammy Talley, said on Saturday your game must start by 2 o'clock. Well, the game was scheduled for 6.
Yeah.
So she said you can't play.
Right.
And Central did not want to come earlier because a 2 o'clock game means they would have had to leave like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Unless you're going to stay overnight, like I said, that's pretty expensive to do that. And that would be a huge game too. Central and Reigns. It's too bad they're not going to play that. And Reigns does not have another.
I tried to hook up Mainland with them, and Mainland said that they would schedule them at 26 and 27.
Okay.
So we might have that game the next year.
26 and 27. Okay.
Right.
But anyway, that would have been a nice first week game on a Saturday too, no less. And as we'll talk about coming up at 9 o'clock, we'll go into college football. But college football gets started, but it's not a huge week of games this week. Meanwhile, high school football is, again, weather permitting, everyone's playing. By the way, I mentioned we're right here on across from Bradford High School. We're right on 301 in Stark, and something's going on at the road. The cops are everywhere, so lights are shining a little bit fast this here. So we are outside here at Beef O'Brady's in Stark. I know, right? We are outside here at Beef O'Brady's in Stark, right on US 301 in the middle of Stark. Again, so I could stare across the street and see the Bradford Tornadoes sign, but
I can see the stadium lights from here.
yeah, I know. Well, they're not on, yeah, but you can see them. You're right. I guess no practice there tonight. That's what I always liked about that turf. They have the turf field over there at Bradford, but
I can remember when it was a dirt field.
It was a dirt field.
One of the worst ones in the whole entire area.
Well, that's kind of what happened in Duval County. They've been putting turf down. I mean, they went to Riverside, otherwise known as Lee. They had the worst. I mean, that was a dirt field basically, and they put in field turf.
Was one of the worst ones.
Now they got
a brand new field this year.
They got turf there as well.
Yep.
Right. So
brand new school. They got a brand new school and a brand new football field.
Yeah, brand new school. That's right. That opened up as well. Yeah, they had to play their games. Where did they play last year? Riverside or at Jackson? Jackson?
Paxton.
Oh, Paxton. That's right. That's right. So, but they're back home now. So, but yeah, Bradford High, of course, as we said, we're right here in the middle of Stark, and we'll probably try to do this show every week. Right now, we'll probably be at Beef O'Brady's for a few weeks, and at least, and see where we can go from there. But literally, I had to say, this is something that Corey and I talked about literally last week. We met on Sunday, and the last 2 days we've been kind of getting logistics worked out. So it's been, we've got a lot to talk about. It's just if I'm a little out of order, it's because it's we're just started this. I mean, this literally came up a few days ago, but it's going to be good. We're going to have a good time, enjoy it here as well, as people are coming out here on the patio. And I think if we're here most weeks, we'll probably be inside. They have a nice room in there, but tonight we are, it's being rented out tonight.
Tonight there was about 20, 21-year-olds back there having a big old party.
Yeah, so I saw that. There's it's pretty crowded in here tonight. But so that's a look at last week's kickoff classics and also the SSA opening games. And before now, we will move on to the next segment. It'll be a look at week 1 in Gainesville, Ocala. And again, we mentioned tomorrow night, Bronson and Oak Hall will play at Oak Hall. Well, again, weather permitting. So the opener for Oak Hall. And the Eagles will be glad to get on the field because they didn't get to last week. And I think that was a game they really were looking forward to play after Bell kind of hammered Oak Hall last year in week 1. So they'll get a chance to go out and probably get a win against Bronson.
Oh, I think it'll definitely be a running clock type of game.
Right. Meanwhile, in the at Citizens Field tomorrow night, this will be a big one. Vanguard and Buchholz, as we said, and two of the top teams in that North Central Florida area. We know the Buchholz Bobcats, 4 straight years in the state semifinals. They haven't been able to get past that. It's kind of like them and Vanguard are both kind of stuck, Vanguard gets to the region final usually, state semis. They run into Orlando Jones. Buchholz has run into St. Thomas Aquinas, to Venice, to Lakeland. And two teams that have been really good but just haven't quite been able to make it to that state championship game yet. It's hard to do, though. So, but Buchholz, and the big key for Buchholz this year is how they are able to replace their quarterback. Trace Johnson has gone to California. He is now playing out in California for Carson Palmer, who was a teammate of his dad, Doug Johnson's, in the Cincinnati Bengals. So Trace went out there for his senior year to play for an NFL quarterback, kind of learn that whole system and get ready for college. And then on the other side, the new quarterback at Buchholz is another Whittemore. This time it's Andrew Whittemore, a sophomore. I know, right? They grow them at quarterback.
It's like year 10 now, Whittemore.
Pretty much, and I think Andrew's the last one. So, but I mean, Mark Whittemore has returned, of course, to coach last year. And yeah, that'll be one thing to keep. But the good news for Buchholz is they have Justin Williams, who is a guy who went over 1,000 yards rushing and receiving last year, which was the first high school player in Florida to do that since Devin Hester, 2002. So
yeah, that guy was pretty good. Huh?
Yeah, not bad. He had a pretty good career in the NFL, Hall of Famer, I believe. And well, for Justin Williams, he is committed to UF, so we expect to see him on the field at Florida as well. But so Buell, some Vanguard tomorrow night at Citizens Field. Hopefully, again, hopefully it won't rain. If it does rain, hopefully the field will be okay. You never really know at Citizens Field this time of year. All kinds of stuff going on out here. So, um, but that is tomorrow night. Are there any other Thursday games? I'm trying to think of.
Other than Bronson O'Call and Vanguard.
They're in
That's it.
Gainesville, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
We don't typically have Thursday night games in Jacksonville.
Yeah, there are some Florida Georgia week. They have a lot of
Yeah.
those. Public schools will play, and then Bishop Kenny has a couple. One of them is the last week of the season. I got Providence. That's Florida Georgia week. But
Right. Or Georgia.
speaking of Bishop Kenny, it's very rare that we have a bye week one. That's exactly what they have. They are off until next week. They open with University Christian. University Christian has Newberry this week, then at BK next week. But Bishop Kenny did beat Swanee last week in their kickoff classic, 34-21, and now they take a week off. So it's going to be a little odd. Haven't even started the season yet, and I got another Friday off.
So we can
So
go scout their opponent.
yeah, actually, I think that's what I might do.
We
They're
actually
playing,
talked about that.
yeah, and they're playing Newberry, so it makes sense to go see that game. But so Friday night. So we have some games we can look at around the area in Gainesville, Ocala. We'll get to Jacksonville in a moment. But down in Tampa, Trinity Catholic, and here's another team, first-year head coach there as well. And
It's a
Jeremiah,
very intriguing game because Trinity Catholic is probably one of the exceptions. They do travel around the state, but
right.
typically teams only play local teams. So to go down to Tampa and play in a tough environment, which will get them ready for playoffs.
And this has been the story of Trinity Catholic probably the last 3 or 4 years under John Brantley. Their schedule, they'll go anywhere and play anybody. And for that reason, last year they were 3-7 in the regular season and went to the playoffs. 2 years ago, they made the state championship game, and their record was 6-7. So it's like,
I remember.
and they nearly won that. They were about 30 seconds away from winning that against Cardinal Mooney over in Tallahassee. But now we'll see. John Brantley has moved on to Forest. He's back at his alma mater. So Trinity Catholic, and again, Tampa Catholic's pretty good. That's a tough assignment to start. Long trip down to Tampa. So the Celtics will get tested right away on Friday night against Tampa Catholic. At Citizens Field, this is a game that actually will be broadcast on 106.9 I Am Country in Gainesville, also MainStreetDailyNews.com. Mike Radout will have the call with Hank Roan, Eastside and Bellevue. So the Rams, who are coming off 3 straight seasons in the playoffs under Gator Hoskins, he's back for a 4th year. And they'll take on a Bellevue team that's kind of struggled, really, through the years. A couple teams here and there. But they will be hitting the road to Eastside. That used to be a district game, actually. But
I
now,
was just going to say, didn't that used to be a district game?
yeah, it used to be. There were some years where Eastside beat Bellevue and won one game and went to the postseason. The old days of that. But so they'll get started tomorrow night at Citizens Field. Friday night, sorry. I think what night it is. It's Wednesday. So Bellevue Eastside. You talked earlier about Interlochen and Keystone Heights. A game you will be at on Friday night,
Right.
hopefully. And a good rivalry there as well. Keystone, I think they were blanked in their kickoff classic by Ridgeview.
Oh, yeah, they lost 40,
Yeah.
42-0, 45-0.
Yeah, you mentioned how are they? Well, I've had so many transfers. How are they
Well,
going
they lost three guys to Rapid.
Yeah. Well,
Starters to Rapid.
that's been kind of the story. I mean, really. I mean, if you kind of look at how good Bradford's
Tyler
been.
Sapp, Jackson Parmenter, and Greg Daniels, or Bryce Daniels, all transferred to Bradford. The starting quarterback decided to go play golf. The backup quarterback, that was Bill LaCour. The backup, Ryder Troll, he's in concussion protocol.
Right.
They lost all their running backs to transfer. One's at Palaka. So, I mean, they've been decimated with transfers and people quitting. So, Keystone's going to have a tough year.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Second year coach there, I believe, or third year now for Steve Okay, I don't know what that's about. So that'll be on Friday night at Keystone Heights. But I think we've seen that too, really, since Bradford's really started becoming more of a powerhouse the last 7-8 years. They've taken a lot of guys from Keystone. I mean, but again, it's not like Keystone start. What are they, 10 miles apart? It's not a huge difference. You're pretty much on the border of Bradford and Clay anyway. So, but we'll see how they fare against Interlochen on Friday night. Meanwhile,
got Westport at the Canto. Gainesville is going all the way down to Naples to play a newer school called Aubrey Rogers.
yeah, Aubrey Rogers. It sounds like Betty Crocker, like a baking company of some kind. But Aubrey, like Sarah Lee. But yeah, they are going to go down there and play Aubrey Rogers. Yes, and that's how about Gainesville's schedule? Their first 5 games are on the road, and then their next 5 are at home. So they start the year with 5 straight road games. They come back and have 5 home games. Their first home game will be against Buchholz at Citizens Field. So we'll see how Ian Scott fares with that schedule. It's going to be a little bit of that'll be a challenge having to go on the road so much. And for another Gainesville team, it's going to be pretty young. But as you said, long trip to start all the way down to Naples to play that opening game. Union County, we talked a little bit about the Tigers. They will open up the Lamar Waters era. He's the interim head coach against Yulee. And, well, Corey, I guess we could get into this a little bit because it happened in the offseason, but Union County had quite an offseason, didn't they? Actually, really, since May, June.
And nobody knows really what happened, but Andrew Thomas was, we'll call a spade, forced out.
Right.
Maybe he officially resigned, but for whatever reason, Union County decided to make a change there, and now he's the defensive coordinator of Victor County.
From his reaction, I don't think he resigned so much. It kind of felt like from the way he talked about it that he was, and again, not only that, but his assistant coaches, he had almost his whole staff left Union County as well, and either stepped down or went elsewhere. So there was kind of a protest there. I don't know if we'll ever really know that whole story. We were told that the one rumor was one of the students, or one of the players' parents went to the superintendent. But I mean, I would think most people, and I've known Andrew Thomas for years, and the guy wins. I mean, he's been a really good coach. A couple state titles at Trenton, and Trenton hasn't been the same since he left. Did well at Trinity Catholic. He went up to Alabama and coached, came back, and has Union County on the cusp of a state title every year. And he's going to be a head coach again pretty soon. I'd say this year he'll be a defensive coordinator, and he'll probably get another head coaching job because he's too good of a coach. And I don't see where this is going to really help Union County. Now I know Lamar Waters too, but I've known him as a baseball. He was a baseball coach for many years. He's been a football coach as an assistant. I don't know if he's ever been a head football coach, but he's been an athletic director too. But he knows Union County. They're going to be pretty good this year. The running back returned. Who originally went to Columbia and then came back. So that's good news for Union County, as they had almost a 2,000-yard rusher there last year. So we'll see how they fare. They'll start with Yulee, as you mentioned. Yulee last week in their kickoff classic shut out Inglewood. Union County beat Yulee last year on the road to open the season, so this time they'll get them in Lake Butler.
That'll be a good test for the Tigers. That'll be a good test for the Tigers.
It will be. The Yulee Hornets of Derrick Henry in the past. I think they're naming the stadium after him, but they already have it at Yulee. I think that's coming, but
it's a matter of time because he contributes so much money to that program.
Yeah, my understanding is he's still very much involved in the offseason there in Yulee, around the area as well, back with the Baltimore Ravens this year. All right, we head down to Marion County. Actually, this is a couple of teams. One Marion County, the other is Citrus. It's Lecanto hosting Westport, and that's a game that Westport is a program that has kind of been just going to start talking about what's going on here. Fire trucks and police and
small town start is lit up right now with
we're on the main road here
fire
too.
And rescue and police everywhere.
Westport and Lecanto, and Yeah, Westport is a program that in Marion County that we don't always talk a lot about. They've kind of struggled at times, so that's a tough matchup for them too. Cancer's been pretty good through the years too, and also Denellen opens their season as well. Another Marion County team. You almost forget they're in Marion County sometimes, but Denellen has also been very consistent through the years as well. So Westport and Lecanto, and then a kind of a rural school matchup in Cross City as Lafayette and Dixie County. This is all these teams are rivals of each other, I think.
I got to see Lafayette in the spring jamboree. Keystone hosted Lafayette, West Nassau, Interlochen, and Keystone. Lafayette, man, they got a ton of athletes. They got a bunch of speed. Lafayette and West Nassau were clearly the best two teams that night. And I think Lafayette has like a record of like 8 or 9 wins for almost like 10 years. And I see that train continuing. I think Lafayette's going to be, deep in the play. Well, maybe, hopefully deep in the playoffs. It depends on who they match up with, because they could draw Hawthorne or Madison County. But that's a team that's always good.
Yeah, it is, and you're right about that. You're right. It's a team that every year it seems like makes the playoffs, probably goes a couple rounds in, can't quite get past the Union Counties or the I guess through the years used to be Newberry's and teams like that. Now the Newberry's moved up to 2A. But yeah, you're right. Lafayette has always been pretty consistent. Dixie County was shut out by Chiefland last week in their kickoff classic. First year coach there. Man, and Dixie County too. We've seen them have some really good seasons. I mean, they played for the FIT title last year, NIT, I guess you could say. But new coach again for them. And excuse me. But they will have. They might have a little bit of a struggle ahead of them too. So, but that's always a good rivalry game. It's fun. Those are the fun games to see. You mentioned the other one, big game is Bell and Trenton in Gilchrist County. That game will be. I believe it's at Bell. That's right. So Trenton had their kickoff classic. The first game that was scheduled for Coach Bryant Fry against Crystal River or against Fort White. That game was postponed. Also due to lightning and rain. So they will. Trenton will get it going. So neither Trenton nor Bell really played last week. Bell had a regular season game called off, but that's a rivalry game in Gilchrist County. Through the years, Trenton kind of dominated, but then last year Bell got them on the road at Trenton. So the Bryant Fry, we know him well. First year, former girls basketball head coach, won a state title there. Now is the football coach at Trenton, his alma mater, and we'll see if he can get those guys turned around, taking over for Cam Porch over there.
One thing we do know about Trenton and Bell is I don't care if they're playing tiddlywinks, jumping jacks. They hate to lose to each other.
Right. They do.
When Bell won last year, which was an upset,
right.
I'm sure that has fueled Trenton all year.
I don't know if Bell would consider that an upset. You're okay. Bell, I don't know if Bell would consider it an upset last year because they probably thought they had a really good team. But yeah, you're right. It had been a while. And again, but
typically Trenton wins every year. So.
They do. And the thing is, Trenton, yeah, in most sports, in fact. But then, I mean, they're only 10 miles apart. They're the only two schools in Gilchrist County. Bell and Trenton, bigger schools at least. So, so it's a big rivalry. You're right, and it's always nice to start the year with that. And by the way, it used to be Santa Fe and Newberry started this season, but this year they're going to play, I think, next week.
October.
Oh, they don't play until October.
I think so.
It used to be week 1, but this year
late September, early October.
Yeah, it used to be almost every year they'd play the opening week, but this year Newberry's going to Jacksonville to play UC, and Santa Fe doesn't have a game. They have a bye this week too.
Well, some of that is I think it's Santa Fe kind of dumbing down their schedule.
Yeah.
To try to get more wins, and so maybe that's why the rivalry got pushed back, just so they can get some confidence.
Right.
They opened up with Zarapass this week. Some of the other games they play are pretty easy against the Christian schools.
Yeah.
So, and then they got Palaka week 3 or week 4.
Right.
That's a district game.
That's gonna be a huge game for both teams. We'll talk a little bit about Palaka in a moment as well. And by the way, again, you were watching the North Florida Gridiron Report. This is the high school edition, and coming up at 9:00, we will have the college football edition. We'll look forward to the college season. This is the night for predictions, which I'm gonna like. We're gonna go through a lot of those in the college show. Maybe we should have done that for high school. I didn't think about it. We should have just picked our district and state championship winners as well. But we are gonna pick some games though coming up here in just a few moments. But as we look forward to the Jacksonville area, you mentioned Bulls and Monarch. That'll go on tomorrow night at the Broward Classic. This is the second or third year they've had this. Last year, there was a bunch of nationally televised games down there involving St. Thomas
Well,
Aquinas.
there is this weekend.
But that's not one of them.
Saturday.
Yeah. All right,
We got,
Saturday.
St. Thomas.
Yeah,
And
they're in it again.
Chaminade are both on TV on ESPN.
Defending state champs once again for both those teams, and the Bulls and Monarch will play tomorrow night. That will not be a nationally televised game, but basically a road game though for Bulls, as Monarch located in Coconut Creek, right there in Broward County. So. But I think Bulls is going to be a good team again. I mean, there's no reason to think they won't be loaded. They've got speed. I mean, last year, a lot of the guys from last year's team, including their top receivers, are back. I'm going to see them in a few weeks. So they play Bishop Kenny and at Bishop Kenny. So, and that's always a good rivalry game. But Bulls will have a long trip to start the season, heading down to Monarch tomorrow night. On Friday, and we've got rivalry games on Friday night. A lot of these are rivalry games. In Clay County, Fleming Island hosting Clay. Fleming Island changes head coaches as Coach Cipoletti has moved on. And now their head coach escapes me.
Coach McPherson.
That's McPherson. That's right, Tom McPherson. Thank you.
Orange Park and Richard.
Yeah, and that's good to see him back in Clay County. He's coached almost every school in Clay County now. Many years at Ridgeview, led them to the postseason, many years at Orange Park, went to Baker County for a few years, and has been to DC at Bishop Kenny the last 4 seasons. So, yeah, he's back. And really what was a late, I think it happened in June, right? That change happened. So it was a little bit later for Fleming Island.
Right.
They'll open though with Clay, and this is always one of those Clay County rivalry games between Green Cove and Fleming.
It's unofficially called the Battle of Black Creek.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So
Yeah,
I didn't. I read that. You said that today, and I actually didn't know it was called the Battle of Black Creek. It makes sense, I guess.
Well, I kind of named it that because.
Oh, you named it.
There's
fine.
a bridge that separates
Right.
Green Cove and Fleming Island.
Right.
Black Creek Bridge.
Yeah. I mean, right. I know you're right. It makes sense. I mean, you could basically call Middleburg and Clay the Battle of Black Creek too. You wanted to, or Fleming Island, but yeah,
Right.
that's a good point. But yeah, so that I think Fleming Island is kind of dominated. Clay's been down the last few years for them. I mean, we're used to seeing them, perennially in the playoffs. It's kind of been a few down years for the Blue Devils. So we'll see if they can get it going again. Speaking of teams that have had down years recently, Ridgeview and Orange Park, and you and I, we know this one well because we grew up in that area. Orange Park High School. Of course, when we were in school, Ridgeview was a junior high, and then when it became a high school, it basically became Orange Park's closest, like as far as mileage rival. It's closer than Middleburg even. So they have developed a rivalry there between the two, and they're one of these two needs a win to start the season too.
And that was a really competitive rivalry. I was looking up the scores, and I'm missing a couple scores, or otherwise I would tell you who leads that series. But it's pretty 50-50 in that rivalry.
Yeah, I would think it would be. Although I would think it felt like for a while Orange Park dominated, but yeah, it's kind of gone the other way a little bit. So, but that'll be. I might be heading. I might go to that game on Friday. I haven't been to a game at the new Orange Park High. Last year they opened up the new stadium, Hoyt P. Cotney, so I might check that out. Now here's a game, and Corey was talking about this earlier today. Plaque and St. Augustine. Now we've always had this discussion, and kind of back and forth. You and Josh Wilson, that this is the oldest rivalry in Florida. Now the only thing with it is, I mean, almost didn't play last year, a couple years ago, because St. Augustine has dominated this recently against Plaque.
Yeah, this is the 106th meeting between the two teams. It goes back to the 20s, and by 1 year, it's not the oldest rivalry in the state. That belongs to Hardy County and DeSoto.
DeSoto, right.
But I think most games played, it is the oldest rivalry because this is the 106th meeting. but it's been dominated by a St. Augustine who leads the series 59, 44, and 3. And they won 11 in a row since Palatka won a 23-20 overtime win in 2013.
Oh, they won.
So,
It's been 12 years. Yeah.
yeah.
And well, and the other problem is too, St. Augustine's been so good for so long. I mean, they are every year, and they went from Joey Wiles to now Brian Braddock, and it's been, hasn't really skipped a beat. Palatka, on the other hand, Palaka's starting to come back. They had some down years, but last year had a good season, lost in the postseason round one, and it's gonna be tough though to win this game, I know, for Palatka. But
they made the playoffs the last 3 years in a row. They've been 7-4.
And they send them to like Bradford, and yeah.
Their 3 losses have been St. Augustine, Bradford, and Newberry.
Right. So that game will be at St. Augustine on Friday night, Foots Brumley Stadium. Renewal of that rivalry, Palatka and St. Augustine. Corey's cohort at the Palatka Daily News will be there, Mark on Friday night. So I've covered that as well. Speaking of that, over in Palm Coast, it's the Battle of Flagler County. Matanzas and
the Potato Bowl.
Do they? I didn't know that either. That's a new one to me.
Because that's an area that produces all the potatoes.
Well, I thought that was more
Series
towards.
began in 2010. Palm Coast leads at 14-2. Matanzas only won in 2015 and 2016.
Yeah, Matanzas has actually been better the last few years too. They have made a couple of playoff appearances, but Flagler Palm Coast, you're right, they kind of dominated that one as well. And I know that Matanzas is a newer school. Flagler Palm Coast has been around a while in that area, and again, they have changed. They've changed coaches as well. Flagler Palm Coast.
Oh yeah, former Palatka coach Patrick Turner.
Yeah,
I used to coach Menendez, is now Palm Coast.
Right, he's at Flagler Palm Coast. So Flagler Palm Coast will be at Matanzas on Friday night, the Battle of Flagler County. And then another game that's come back, and this game has actually not been played really some of the last few years. Columbia and Suwannee are going to renew their rivalry, this time in Live Oak. And speaking of rivalries that have been dominated, I think Columbia has won 20 of the last 21 or something. I mean, they have absolutely, which is why Suwannee, I think, decided to take a couple of years off and not play. But
I think Jordan Kroger tweeted out earlier today that Columbia has won like 12 in a row in this series.
Yeah, they have.
They've been playing since 1927, but unfortunately not consecutive. There have been some breaks in the rivalry. Columbia leads 59-23-3. This is the 86th meeting. And they played last year, but they didn't play from 2019 to 2023.
Yeah, that's right. I remember they didn't play for a while. I think Suwannee decided not to renew that for a little while because the games really have been competitive. Now, Swanee's been pretty competitive themselves the last 2 or 3 years.
But they did play a kickoff classic.
Right, that's true.
But it just didn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count. So, but that will be in Live Oak on Friday night. Columbia and Suwannee will renew their rivalry. So that's what's kind of fun about this opening week. It's a lot of rivalry games you see between these teams. And a lot of old rivalries. You mentioned Palatka St. Aug.
Oh, yeah.
Columbia and Suwannee have been around. Flagler Palm Coast, Matanzas is a little newer, but they play every year. Clay and Fleming Island. So yeah, they're going to be some good. It seems like Jacksonville, like Duval, Clay play a lot of early games as far as rivalry games. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, because I have it listed on our pick 6, but there's another huge rivalry game Friday night, Nice at Ponte Vedra.
Oh yeah,
and this is a rivalry that Ponte Vedra leads, I think, also 12-3. Nice has won 3 of the last 4, though.
Yeah, Nice has been a lot better the last about 3-4 years, so they've kind of caught Ponte Vedra a little bit. But yeah, that is the rivalry. Yeah, that's the Battle of Ponte Vedra, Battle of the Bridge, right?
Battle of the Bridge,
or it's called the Battle of Nocatee almost. It's kind of where both schools are in that area over there. But so Nice Ponte Vedra, right? You mentioned that one as well. I'm trying to think of Duval County.
Well, rivalry games, there are none.
That's surprising.
Mandarin's playing Creekside. Typically, they play Atlantic Coast week 1. They moved that game to another date.
Yeah, Atlantic Coast is opening this week as well. And meanwhile, there are, like you said, there are some big games this week. Trinity Christian and Ed White are playing. That'll be a good start. I get, might be consider that a rivalry. I don't think they played every year, but those schools are pretty close together there on the west side of
They
Jacksonville.
just started playing recently.
Yeah, that's right. Because really, Ed White for many years struggled. They've been pretty good the last few years as well. But Trinity didn't have any reason to play them, but they have picked them up on the schedule as well. All right, well, we're about ready to wrap up our first edition. And by the way, as this goes on, we'll have a little more music, and we hope to have some we'll have some sponsors for you as well. Well, but also we're gonna have guests. We're gonna have a chance for our guests to call in and talk to us. We'll pre-record some things. We'll definitely be this is almost like a dry run this week. First time we've done it. We've basically for the last 3 days been talking about it. So the fact that we were able to put this together is actually kind of cool. But we definitely plan on we'll be growing this as well.
We gotta mention Philip.
Philip, yeah, and I don't know if he always wants us to, but yeah, Philip Crutchfield has been very helpful with us. He's the guy he's the tech guy basically. I mean, I'm learning, and
Marty and I know nothing about the back end.
Yeah, now I've learned. I mean, the only thing I've ever really run is the NFHS production, NFHS network. So, but anyway, he showed it to me. It's not difficult. We can do this, but. I think, as we said, for at least the first few weeks, we'll be here at Beef O'Brady's. We're kind of hoping to get them on board. It's kind of a good, first of all, I like the fact it's right here on 301, right in the middle of Stark. Secondly, it's kind of halfway between where Corey and I live. So it's a kind of a good meeting place as well. He's over in Middleburg, Orange Park. Still in Orange Park where you live, or Middleburg?
My address is
You're Middleburg. And I'm still in Gainesville, so... and then Mike Rideout lives over there now. He's in Jacksonville now, over in Oak Leaf area. So, everyone's moving to Jacksonville. Guess I might continue to do that as well. But anyway, thanks to Philip. And he really was helpful for us last couple of days. We came over here to Beef's last couple of nights and checked it out. And like I said, I will probably be inside. They have a big room inside. We can probably set up here next week as well. All right. Well, before we go, we got college football coming up as well. The North Florida Gridiron Report for college football. Let's take a look at the pick'ems. We'll do pick'ems each week, and we'll have pick six for Gainesville, Ocala, and for Jacksonville. We'll start with Gainesville, Ocala. Corey's got it written down. He's ready to keep up with these picks.
Let's go.
We'll start Vanguard at Buchholz tomorrow night, Citizens Field. Am I going first or you?
Well, it don't matter, but yeah. I know Vanguard is loaded. They're loaded every year.
Yeah.
But it's hard to pick against Buchholz, especially at home.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. And until Buchholz, gets beat there, I'm going to go with them as well. And they've beaten Vanguard the last 3 years as well. So I think Buchholz wins that game. I mean, there are some question marks. I think defensively Buchholz is going to be good. We mentioned the quarterback situation, but I think they'll be okay. So I would take Buchholz as well. This is going to be fun. Trenton and Bell. We talked about this game at length earlier. It's funny because it's kind of like, you get to know coaches, Edwin Farmer for Vanguard, Mark Whittemore for Buchholz. You get to know these guys. Both these coaches are two of my favorites, Bryant Fry at Trenton and Joey Whittington at Bell. I almost don't want to pick for that reason because if they hear it, somebody's going to get pissed. But I'm going to take Bell to win this game at home, and Coach Fry's going to kill me.
2 words for you. Landon Williams.
Right. And
he ran for over 1,000 yards last year, I think 20 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He is so difficult to stop.
Right.
Talented running back.
And Bell, that's what Bell likes to do. They like to pound it. And I saw like in SoCal last year in the opening game where he ran for over 200 yards. So I would agree with you. I think Trenton's young. They've got a lot of changes. A first-year head coach there as well. So I'd say Bell will win that game too. North Marion and the debut of John Brantley at Forest. Forest and North Marion, a Marion County rivalry. And, well, Forest has been down, really kind of up and down. But I think one thing we know about John Brantley, he wins wherever he goes. North Marion, they've been up and down too recently. It's been kind of these two used to be very consistent teams. I'm going to take Forest actually to win this game and get their first win under John Brantley there as a head coach.
I'm going to take Forest too, just because you're talking about a size discrepancy here. Ocala Forest is a bigger school than North Marion. They both got athletes, but I think depth might play a factor in this game with having more bodies. Forest probably wears them down a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So far we're all three for same picks, 3 for 3. Next up, Dunellen. I always say that. Dunellen at Florida High. So they got to make a trip to Tallahassee against Florida High, and the Seminoles always a powerhouse there as well. I think Dunellen's always good. This is going to be a good ball game. That's a tough one. You know what? I'm going to take Florida High at home in this game.
Okay. Well, let me give you a piece of information.
Yeah, I would have.
Florida
Nice to
High
have known this before.
Florida High actually opened up their season last week. They
Oh,
played Godby because both teams lost the game to Gadsden County with that whole
that's
violation thing.
right,
So they petitioned to play this game as not as a kickoff classic,
right,
but a real game.
right.
And Florida High came up short to Godby in that game, but
Gobby's
Florida
usually
High
pretty.
loaded.
Yeah, Gobby's usually pretty good. So you got Florida High.
Yeah, I like Florida High in this game too.
All right, we move along to Jacksonville, Newberry, and University Christian, and this is a game. I like this game, I really do. And they played last year at Newberry. Newberry came away with a victory. I'm going to take Newberry again. I know they're going on the road, but I think Newberry is going to be. They've lost some guys, but I think they're going to be another good year for them. UC is going to be good too, but I think in this ball game, because UC's 1A, I think Newberry will get the win, even though it's in Jacksonville.
Newberry's got that mojo from last year. I know they
You
returned.
agree with me on that one? Okay.
Well, we will disagree at some point.
Yeah.
But they got too many athletes back on offense and defense.
Yeah.
I know they lost a couple guys, but yeah, Newberry will show them the game.
Yeah, UC, in fact, University Christian opened last week in the Kickoff Classic by beating Williston. And it was the Robbie Pruitt reunion game as he went to one of his former stomping grounds, the other one being Union County. So, and speaking of Williston, that's our last pick here in the Gainesville, Ocala area. Another rivalry game, Chiefland and Williston. These two last year, Chiefland won the regular season game. Williston won in the playoffs, so they split. And again, Robbie Pruitt back at Williston. He's closing in on being the first coach in America to win 200 games in two different states. He won 200 in Georgia. He's 4 away from winning 200 in Florida. Chiefland's got replacing Adam Gore again, like the third time. Lev Harrell's the coach, but I like Williston here at home to win this ball game.
Not so fast.
Really? Okay.
I'm going with Chiefland.
You're gonna go against Coach Pruitt, huh? All right. Tell me why.
Well, they got the coach, brand new coach now. They're coming off momentum. Wilson's coming off playoff too, but I just feel like this is Chiefland's year to prove that hey, we run this county.
Right. That's a good point. I mean, but the thing is, last year they I think they went in with either undefeated or one loss, and Williston knocked them off in the postseason. It was like 10-0, I think. So, but right. I expect Williston will be pretty good. But yeah, it's gonna be a good ball game. So that's it for Gainesville, Ocala. We moved to Jacksonville, pick 6. There's some good ball games too. We start across the street, Baker County and Bradford. What do we call it? The Blood War. The Blood War.
Actually, one of the former Baker County coaches called it that, and it's kind of stuck with me ever since. Speaking of which,
Jamie Rogers has coached both these schools for a long period of time, so he knows this rivalry pretty well.
I'll go first since you went first last
Go ahead.
time. I like both teams. Baker County's got a brand new coach. The guy's been on staff for a while, but it's at home. Bradford, went to the playoffs last year. Baker does too, but I just don't see how you can go against Bradford.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you there, and I think it used to be Baker County dominated this rivalry, but that's definitely changed. And Baker County, new coach too, right? Kevin Mays, he left.
Yeah, he retired.
He retired. Yeah.
They brought in a guy from who was on staff to take over.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. Bradford wins right across the street here. They'll win. I got him against Baker County. All right, down to St. Johns County, another game we talked about. Actually, you only have 5 games on here.
Yeah, I added Plaquemine Galaxy.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm reading 5. Okay, that's fine. I just was like, Nice and Ponte Vedra. That's what we talked about earlier.
Tough place to play Ponte Vedra, but I'm going with Nice. They're on a roll right
now. It's funny. It's kind of the way I felt about it, even though, and it's at Ponte Vedra. I think Nice right now is that program is back to the point probably where it was when Tim Tebow was there. And the last year they advanced in the playoffs like 3 rounds. They were undefeated through the season too. So yeah, I think you're right. I think Nice wins that game, even though it's on the road at Ponte Vedra. All right. Back to Duval County, a game we also talked about. Battle of the West Side. Trinity Christian hosting Ed White at Trinity. Another season for Verlon Dormany and the Conquerors.
And they say this is their year. You know, they had to rebuild last year a little bit.
Rebuild.
Even though they made the playoffs, they weren't as good.
I think they went to the state semifinals still, but yeah.
Right, but record-wise, they
right.
weren't that
That's
great.
true. They lost a few games, yeah.
So, with that said, it's a hard pick'em game. Ed White's got more depth. They got a bunch of athletes too. I'll go with Ed White.
Wow, where are you? I'm going to go with the Conquerors. I'm with you. I think Trinity will be back. I think they're going to be talented. Not that Ed White's bad, but I'll take Trinity to win that game at home against the Ed White Commanders, the Conquerors and the Commanders. I like that. All right, another Duval Clay matchup. I like this ball game. Oakleaf travels to Riverside. Oakleaf Knights a year ago, region finalists, nearly beat Buchholz on the road, nearly got to the state semifinal round, but they had a really good year last year. Riverside, they were perennially in the postseason as well. This game will be at Riverside. What's the name of the stadium over there? It's in the backyard, but
Backyard.
they call it the backyard, right?
And they've got brand new turf and
Right.
Scoreboard, and it's totally different now. It used to be a dump.
Yeah, plus.
This is another hard game to pick.
Yeah.
It's a pick'em game. I'm going with Riverside, playing home.
It's funny. I was kind of leaning that way too. I think Oakleaf's going to be pretty good again, but I'm with you. I think I'm with you. Riverside at home. I like Riverside to win that game. It's going to be close, but that is a tough one to pick as well. Duval and St. Johns County, Mandarin and Creekside, which those schools aren't far apart where you think about it. Mandarin nearly is in St. Johns County, but Mandarin, you know, they've been how good they've been the last few years. Creekside's been in the postseason as well. Go ahead. Sorry. You're first.
Normally I would say this is really going to be a competitive game, but after what Bowles did to Creekside last week, and I know it was a preseason game, you know, maybe they didn't play the starters, but it was a blowout. It was a running clock.
Right.
I got to go with Mandarin.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm sorry. I like Mandarin as well. So we don't have a lot of changes so far. I guess we had one in each. Yeah. No. We have the same in this one, don't we, so far? Oh no, I took Trinity.
We have two different so far.
Yeah, one in Gainesville, Callaway, and Jacksonville. All right, our last game is Palatka St. Augustine. I don't know if we're going to have a difference here. Go ahead. You can start. I know what I'm taking. But...
Well, as much as I would love to say Palatka,
yeah,
don't mess with the dog.
No. Yeah, and again, St. Augustine's just right now too good, and it's at home. The Yellow Jackets will win that. Old rivalry. Always teams hate each other, but St. Augustine will get the win. All right, so that's your pick 6 for Gainesville, Ocala, and Jacksonville. We went a little past 9 o'clock, so we're going to sign up in a moment. Any news to report before we go for this week?
No breaking news as far as I'm aware of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess obviously the season begins for most teams this week, so we'll see after week 1 where everybody is. Again, weather permitting, we'll see how Thursday and Friday go as well. But we will be back with you 8 to 10 or 8 to 9 p.m. on this show every Wednesday night through football season at least. And again, this is the North Florida High School Gridiron Report. I am Marty Paulman. He's Corey Davis. Again, I want to thank Philip Crutchfield for helping us set up. I want to thank Bifo Brady's as well here in Stark for letting us set up here and broadcast. Hopefully we'll do that next few weeks as well. Coming up is the College Gridiron Report. We'll have an hour of college football as we get ready for that season to start as well. So long and enjoy the games this week. Enjoy week 1 for many in high school football. And good night from Stark. Okay. End stream.